Welcome to Caffe Lena Poetry. Yay. My name's Carol Grazer. I'm going to help us all through the night tonight. We have a new poet to our stage. Natalli Amato is our featured poet tonight. Let's hear it for Natalli. I think we've got some Natalli fans in the audience, and we've got some soon-to-be Natalli fans in the audience. We're gonna start off with Natalli coming up to read, and then we'll do our open mic poetry after that. So I'm gonna start off with a poem by Joy Harjo called "Summer Night." The moon is nearly full, the humid air sweet like melon. Flowers that have cupped the sun all day dream of iridescent wings under the long, dark sleep. Children's invisible voices call out in the glimmering sunlight and the glimmering moonlight. Their parents play worn-out records of the cumbia. Behind the screen door, their soft laughter swells into the rhythm of a smooth guitar. I watch the world shimmer inside this globe of a summer night. Listen to the wobble of her spin and dive. It happens all the time, waiting for you to come home. There is an ache that begins in the sound of an old blues song. It becomes a house where all the lights have gone out but one. And it burns and burns until there is only the blue smoke of dawn and everyone is sleeping in someone's arms, even the flowers, even the sound of 1,000 silences. And the arms of night in the arms of day. Everyone except me. But then the smell of damp honeysuckle twisted on the vine, and the turn of the shoulder of the ordinary spirit who keeps watch over this ordinary street. And there you are, the secret of your own flower of light blooming in the miraculous dark. It's Joy Harjo. Mad Love and War. Okay. Natalli Amato is a poet and a journalist, originally from Sackett's Harbor, New York. Her writings tend to explore nature and spirit. Her new book is out with Kelsey Books called North Wind. That book was shortlisted for the Eric Hoffer Grand Prize. She has other collections. They include Gone Walking and Other Departures with Illuminated Press, Burning Barrel with Finishing Line Press, and On a Windless Night, Raw Press. She received the Edwin T. Whiffen Poetry Prize as an undergraduate at Syracuse University, and her fiction has been published by Terrain.org. She's also a certified Reiki healer, so I expect us all to just feel energetically uplifted after tonight. She lives here in Saratoga Springs. Let's give her a huge welcome, Natalli Amato.
Thank you for such a kind welcome and for setting the evening off with Joy Harjo. She's one of my favorite poets. My book North Wind came out in the fall, and I'm going to start us off with reading the title poem. As Carol said, I'm from Sackett's Harbor, so the North Country is my home, and the North Wind is running through a lot of this book. Here I am telling you, even though I trust you already know, that when the year's first freeze sets, not everyone is hunkered in, ready. Out on Plank Road in the lowland pond, the geese who didn't leave sit frozen. On her drive into Carthage to teach the kindergartners, Sherry Dickob would pull the car over, try to free the dumb things, try to circumvent nature with mercy. Yesterday, I got a call from Joe. We talked my favorite topic, when all us gone grown kids are coming on back home. Is it deficient somehow to love land so harsh in its rejection? I know that is the wrong question. How about this? Does the place you call home get its water into your bedrock? Does it ice over, expand each crack, open you up fracture by fracture? Does it drag you over to the roadside, overwhelmed and terrified by the enormity of your own heart? Has the north wind made you kin, even with the geese? Thanks. Yeah, the idea of kin, animal, family, human, otherwise, is also another thread in this book, and in that vein, I'll read Of Many Seeds. We walked from the cottage to Grampy's garden stand, piled tomatoes into our arms, until the heft was that of a baby, until we had what we needed to feed and be fed. And there was Grampy, always back bent over zucchini plants, pulling up weeds, making deals with the dirt earth, making it give. With Grampy's tomatoes, we made sauce, Grandma Kay's recipe, in Aunt Dorothy's old cottage. Nothing was ours. Somehow everything was. We are the people we belong to. Grampy is your Grampy, yes, not mine. So what does it mean to be known, Grampy, by the whole beach of us? I will not try and write that down. Instead, this. Share a plot of land long enough and people become zucchini. Vines spilling everywhere, differences unintelligible. 12 starter plants end up looking like one. Of course, Grampy was in on this. When fall came and the pumpkins were green, Grampy took out a pocket knife, etched each of our names onto the unripe skin. Who needs poetry when the world is this malleable? When it is this simple, squash plants, your own two hands, to show what you mean. Yeah, it is a gorgeous summer evening here, and you all showed up to share in poetry, so I want to thank you all for that. And there are a lot of winter, cold rain and snow, lonely poems in this book, but I'm going to read some poems about gardening, if that's okay. Let's see, where is it? If I can find it. This one's called In Praise of the Spider Living in My Friend Rachel's Garden. Obviously, I can't pick a favorite thing about my friend. That would be like picking a favorite leaf on the willow, or, as the mothers warn against, a favorite child. But yesterday, when I had questions about tomatoes and peppers and Swiss chard and green beans and how to keep them safe from critters, Rachel told me her solution. I have a garden spider. As in, what riches? As in, don't you realize it's living things we speak of? As in, don't you know we came here to learn something about receiving, that it's rather easy. Oh, we didn't have to clap. Yeah. Hopefully not. This one is called Pruning Practice. I suppose I should just accept it now, that it never gets any easier, trimming the tomato plant's bottom leaves, even though more energy for the fruit, even though protecting the plant from fungus. Out back, my grandfather has been trying to grow peaches for going on 15 years. And still, every summer, a limb or two, maybe even 3, snaps. Pruning. He can't do it. So if I held you with claws, if that is how you felt it, know that for so long I have been no different than the sparrow hurling itself at the window pane in my attempt to learn something about that kind of grace. Know that each summer morning I put my knees in the dirt and say, I love you, I'm so sorry, little one. And this is still only the tomato plants I am working on. Thanks. So clearly I have problems letting go of things. And so do all poets, I guess. And there's a John Prine song that I really like where he says, your heart gets bored of your mind and it changes you. And yeah. And this poem I sort of wrote when I was trying to figure out, like, what the heck is he talking about? How do you do that? It's called Head of Tide Park, Maine, because that's where I wrote it. Walking the wooded path, I remember something a meditation teacher said before I'd entered a labyrinth. It's important that you come back a different way you came. This helps you really leave something behind when you get to the center. It helps the burden thing stay put. All year, I've been giving my grieving mind instructions. Let go of anger. Let go of what have beens. Repeat, I forgive you, Connor, 10 times before you sleep each night until it comes true. Then try, I forgive you now, each morning when you rise until that comes true as well. Today my soul is tired. I walk an animal, thoughtless walk, surrendering to the blue trail markers on the tree, until I've returned to the trailhead without one repeat step, with my body full of the sound of nearby rushing water. Good God, it's been a winter, but I still know that sound. All our prayers must be sent into rivers. Don't rivers sound like, have mercy on me? Don't rivers sound like, thank you for the green grass? The Passagassawakeg sounds like my favorite. I am here, world. I am here. I am here. This poem's like a little companion poem to that one, even though they're not next to each other on the pages. It's called Decided. I will forgive you if it takes my lifetime. I will forgive you if it takes my lifetime. If I don't, then all the love I thought I knew was lovelessness. If I don't, then all the love I thought I knew was just attachment, just greed, just a whole bunch of gimme, gimme. I will forgive you if it takes my lifetime. For how could I let down the lightning bug? How could I let down the comet sky? I cannot stand before them as a bitter-hearted thing. Let the night grass bless this vow. Yeah, so I don't know about you all, but I found that, trips up to camp with friends are what sort of help those bitter things go soft. And this one is for my friend Emma, who walked in, and I'm so happy to see her, and Jade. It's called Gift. For so many years before I had a word for God, I had a seat in Emma's Honda, which back then could only play CDs. There was so much we did not know about fortune, even though great clues were right there at our feet. CD cases on the floorboards, Martina McBride, Brad Paisley, Dixie Chicks, this music of ours. But let me say what I mean to say, this bit about the divine. If I make myself real still, no matter where I am, I can hear that one Toby Keith song sung in our voices, going like this: go for a walk, say a little prayer, take a deep breath of mountain air. And I can see the road, some unmarked one up in Canton, that we only knew to travel because Eugene told us, where the trees are changing into their yellow dress, and because the canopies bear so much, we cannot see the part of the road that bends. The road looks straight. The road looks like it's ending. It's almost unfathomable now, hard to admit, but back then, we did not notice this. We were caught up in song. Still the hand of fortune, or maybe grace is kind, and did not let me forget. Did not let me forget that this is how it goes. Every road, every time, no exceptions. The way opens to us. This next poem is another Emma poem, but in it we're less reverent. It's called At the Beach Bar in Burlington, Benny and the Jets plays. We're taking the curve, Pillar Point Peninsula, drunk on Spumante, can't say anymore who was driving. We're not done being kids yet. We're not done loving the exes we'll forget, and the car we're in still has a CD player playing songs 30 years older than us. Something by Elton John. What song? Does it matter? It's Elton. They all sound good and make sense in this time of $8 champagne, in this time of coming real close to believing we're headed somewhere unknown and beautiful, instead of just taking the long way home, taking this old curve, heart light on my right hand palm, bending to the point of fracture. There's yeah, I'm his old friend. This one's called Stopping for Lisa. Say what you want about the bumpy road, potholes, dust all over the car, back-breaking work to rake over the new gravel each year. It's a proper gift to drive it every day. How it forces you to take things slow. How in 20 years the sound never changes. How it's never that busy. How if you want to, like me and Lisa did, you can, instead of passing the oncoming car, stop and talk for a while. No one coming up behind you, no one coming around the curve. You have time to get past hello, hello, good morning, and say things like, you won't believe it, I'm in love, or my God, it's all breaking. You can't tell me this happens to you on I-81. When I say the word miracle, this is what I mean. Let's see. Okay, time for some more. This is another poem for an old friend. It's for my old friend Joe in Whaley State Park, which is a great state park if you're ever up in Henderson, New York. When you picked me up at the cottage, I didn't know how to say, I've been praying, I've been praying. So I think I said, how was the Mount Carmel feast? Did you get any fried dough? From there we went, remember Mrs. Shanks, when she kicked Nick out of the 6th grade library class? What about the computer teacher with the pet chinchilla? Jake met us in the Whaley lot. He said something wrong, but well received, like, you look like shit. There are so many ways to say, old friend, how glad I am to see you. Out on the trail, our pace was slow. When the storm clouds broke and the rain came down, we cursed ourselves for not checking the radar. No raincoats, no going any faster. I don't remember how long it took for us to get back to the car. Though for however long it was, we existed like the trees. Those beings who never got involved in our human game of resistance. Back at the car, we were bone-drenched and waterlogged. We wrung our shirts onto the pavement, amazed by how much water poured out from us, amazed by how much was still hurling on down. This next poem is the first poem that I wrote when I moved to Saratoga, and it squeaked in and made it in the book. It's called Comet. I've written about it before. Azure trail above, lightless river below, 1 in 6,792 years. The alarming state of my narcissism, thinking Comet Neowise had something to say about me and my love. Today, though, walking down Broadway, an old gentleman threw his hands up to the sky and exclaimed, "Don't know why more people aren't out walking." I said, "My God, beautiful day," because it was. 22 degrees and a sky so blue and clear, it could call the geese home. Here's the part, though, that stayed with me the whole walk home, followed me up the stairs to my apartment and into the bathtub. He said, "Better hope it stays clear. NASA says there's a comet tonight, first time back in 50,000 years." Every end you've grieved was a long con. Every threshold you've crossed was mental. The world keeps one-upping its own staggering beauty and couldn't care less upon hearing you say, please, no more. This one is called How It Finally Happened. Wake up with dawn and she brings you things, tucked in pink folds of sky. Like the thought of that night we drove from Adams back to Sackett's, killed a possum with the truck, and cried. How could I not know you? How did I go on so locked-jawed, believing you set out to hurt me? What I'm saying is I remember now your silence, how it stayed as we passed Robin's farm, crossed Route 3, pulled onto the cottage road, and we're home. Reverence lodged in your throat like a plum pit. What I'm asking you to do is compost your memories of me. Only keep that I turned to you, possum leaking out my eyes, and asked, isn't there anyone we can call? This little one's for my friend Jade. It's called Easy. For all the writing I do about the hard stuff, I really ought to follow it up with how sometimes I go and pick up my phone and there's a text from Jade saying, remember this, and I always do. And actually, since she's here, this one wasn't in my repertoire, but this one has Jade's dad in it. So funeral food. When we were kids, dead fish would float on up to shore, even though we were 8 and it was only June. Big old bass floating like the milk jugs Luke used to mark where the minnow traps were hiding underwater. The boys would grab the stick and prod the rotten thing until it hung there, like a rope of garlic above a kitchen door. I can't remember what we would do next. They didn't chase us girls with it, though. It wasn't like that. They were just curious. Is it wrong to love some part of the death process? Because I do. The kid with his stick, or the empty Miller Lite spread before us on the folding table at the luncheon. Me, Nico, Uncle Mike, well past full, splitting one more of Jay's meatballs just because we can. And then I'll leave you with this poem. It's called An Offering. And yeah, it's my offering to you all. After I go for a run, I can jump in the lake. When did I start believing that pleasure must be earned? I will train this mind in that lost art, freedom, through my remembering of how Ontario turned our kid skin into raisin skin we'd have been in so long, of how we'd have stayed in even longer if bodies weren't saddled with such a thing as hunger, if we weren't beings born to love, root beer popsicles from the fridge, of how even with that creamy promise, coming ashore was always a slow process. When the water got too shallow for swimming, we still refused to stand. We dragged our elbows across the lake floor, bodies submerged just barely. The alligator crawl, that's what we called it. I think that when we reach the end of life, it will be like this. Or at least I hope. May we be alligators in the June sun. My wish for us all. Thank you so much, everyone.
All right, thank you, Natalie. That was lovely. Let's hear it one more time while she gets to her seat.